Ladies and gentlemen, my timer has gone off, so it is time to resume our program. While you are making your way back to your seats, I will begin by telling you a little story about why it is that we decided to do a workforce study. And in just a few minutes, Darius Irani from Towson University is going to come up and is going to tell you all about the results of this workforce study that RESI did for us earlier this year. And it's a really important study about the workforce in Charles County. We often hear about the fact that 64% of our workers commute out of the county to work in other jurisdictions. And we know anecdotally what kind of work they're doing. We all have neighbors that work for the federal government or work for federal contractors and other kinds of businesses in other parts of the Washington, D.C. area. We also know that this is a very talented and well-educated workforce, and in fact, that is one of the things that we talk about a lot when we promote Charles County, is the fact that we have a very well-educated, talented workforce. But it's really been difficult to get very specific information about these workers. The Census ACS data will tell us that how many people are commuting out, and they'll tell us something about the occupations and industries of these workers, but that data can be very general. And a lot of the data that tells more about people's skills and jobs and capabilities is done based on not where they live, but where they work, the geography of where they work. So getting data about workforce skills, about workforce experience for our residents has been very difficult. And in fact, gosh, a very long time ago when I first started in economic development in Charles County, one of the first conferences that I went to was on that very topic, and it was all so general that it was very frustrating, and I remember at the time thinking, well, we need to know more about these commuters, and it's been something that has been really important to me and to all of us in economic development. So we decided we needed to do a workforce study. And we brought in RESI from Towson University to do this study for us. So it is my pleasure to introduce Darius Irani. He's the chief economist at RESI, and to thank Darius and his team for doing a remarkable job on this study that helps us understand these commuters. And that's what the study was the focus of, the commuters who leave Charles County every day to work in other jurisdictions. We know a lot more about them now, and we can use this information as we promote Charles County. So I introduce Darius Irani. All of the bios for all of our speakers and panelists today are on the Charles County website. So you can go to the meetcharlescounty.com, click on Events and Fall Meeting 2018 and see all the bios. And so rather than read them to you now, I'll let you do that on your own and bring up Darius to give you the information you came for. Darius Irani.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for inviting me here to report on our findings on this important study. I've had the good fortune of working with Charles County on numerous economic development questions since 1998, when the then Economic Development Director, Aubrey Edwards, commissioned my team to sort of look at the economic and fiscal impact of sand and gravel in Charles County. Since then, we've done numerous studies on behalf of Charles County. On a personal note, and I'm glad to see that Southern Maryland Electric Cooperative is here, because I want to give a plug for them. As a cyclist, I've enjoyed many organized bike rides through Charles County. Absolutely fabulous county. I will say, doing the Indian Head 100 as well as the Southern Maryland Electric Cooperative ride in June has really opened my eyes on just how beautiful and wonderful of an asset this county is, and just how wonderful the park trails are and the watershed is. It's absolutely fantastic. So this is a wonderful place to grow up, to live, and to be here. So anyway, I'll jump right into this. We've got a lot of data to cover. So the project goals, as Marcy said, 64% of your residents work outside the community. Now, as I coming in on 5, I did notice there was a huge backup on the other way. Coming in on 301, again, I did notice that most of the traffic was going out of Charles County. Charles County has sort of been a bedroom community of Washington, D.C. suburbs for quite a bit. And it continues to sort of, develop its own workforce and businesses, and that's a great opportunity. And the other thing, too, is that looking at sort of, as it mentioned, how does the county's population really contribute to the workforce surrounding areas? I mean, many people move here, as Jennifer pointed out, from, they want to live here in Charles County because, again, it's a wonderful place to raise and grow a family. The other thing, too, is we've got a great skilled workforce here. Every morning they pack up and they drive. Some commute 90 minutes, which is oftentimes a super commuter. But how can we use those skilled workers to maybe attract businesses to locate here in Charles County? So, diving right in. I've got about 50 or 60 slides I think we'll just go through. Just kidding. 200. Actually, the report's pretty dense. So we did a kind of a look at it three ways. We looked at a literature review and analysis of secondary data, kind of give us a lay of the land. We did a phone survey of about 550 households that in Charles County between 2017 and 2018, using cell phones and by billing address, not by phone prefix. And then we also looked at the American Community Survey to kind of provide additional insight into the data. So a Gartner study was done a couple of years ago looking at the Charles County Economic Development Strategic Plan, looking at sort of 4 targeted industries: federal contracting, high-value professional business services, health services, entrepreneurial and retail development, R&D, engineering, commuting. So the idea was that, so these are the areas where we feel that there's some great opportunities here in Charles County, and much of the data analysis that we found does support these findings. So why these industries? Well, you hate to say it, but there's a low cost of living in Charles County. And looking at some of the indexes, Charles County has one of the lowest low cost of living composite here in the region compared to Maryland, the rest of Maryland, as well as D.C. metro areas. Many companies allow telecommuting. It's a great opportunity. So again, having a fiber optic infrastructure allows many individuals to perhaps work from home rather than sort of take that long drive. The other thing, too, is often low cost of living can attract employees to work from home or in shared office spaces. So we're seeing more and more millennials want to start their own business, are looking for experiential. They don't want to sit in their car and drive like myself, of that baby boom generation or later. They want to basically be able to live and work where they are. They want to have a great experience. And so providing those in one package, one location, can really optimize the workforce. So why these industries? Well, you hate to say it, it's, as I said before, Maryland suffers from both an opportunity of having the federal government next door as well as having the government next door. Because many of our businesses are geared towards providing the federal government, but it also means that if there's any kind of change in the federal government, there's also some changes in some of these firms. So again, we're having firms that provide support for the federal government, management, cybersecurity, opportunities that provide website and data hosting. And again, remember, Maryland is becoming a cybersecurity hub. We've attracted many firms that provide it. Our federal agencies are involved in it. These are great opportunities. Now, I will point out, as of September, there were 20,000 openings in cybersecurity across the state of Maryland. And there are also 19,000 openings in healthcare. So there is a definite opportunity here. Population growth. So as we kind of age, many of us get older, and we still want to play tennis like we were 30. We still want to bike like we were 20. And as a result of that, we get aches and pains, and we do require more health services. So as we age as a population, and people like to say, oh, 50 is a new 30, that's not really true. I would argue that 50 is 50. You still hurt. But we're going to require more. We're living longer. We're going to require more, health services. We're a population that is increasingly active, and the great news is because we're increasingly active, we have more athletic injuries than we do have sort of aging injuries, which is a good sign. And again, having more local employees provide opportunities for firms that provide services to DC but want a shorter commute. So we'll point out that individuals who drive 90 minutes or longer are 20% more likely to leave their jobs, but individuals who drive 5 miles or less are 20% more likely to stay. Now, for many firms, hiring a new person is about a 30% cost of first-year salary. So retaining employees is a great opportunity. So if you can flip an employee from driving 90 minutes to stay here in Charles County, it's a great opportunity. Now, as we said, with the growth in Charles County, we've seen additional retail opportunities for growth in local retail and dining establishments. I would argue that we're seeing a lot of individuals going elsewhere to do their retail establishment. So there's some opportunities here for that as well as in healthcare services as individuals go out of the county to get their healthcare services. So we've got some great existing county assets. We've got the Naval Support Facility in Indian Head, NSF Dahlgreen nearby in Virginia, University of Maryland Charles Regional Medical Center, as well as the Route 301, which at one point, by the way, Charles County had the most number of slot machines than any state, including even Nevada at one point during the early 60s. So we have a long tradition of welcoming people and taking their money. I would say that's a good news. So, that kind of sets the stage a little bit for the findings. We've got an opportunities here. We've got a highly educated workforce leaving the county every morning. We're proximate to D.C. We're seeing more and more firms want to be able to set up shop and be able to retain employees. We're seeing a new workforce that want to kind of come in and not actually live in their car and work, but actually be able to live and work where they live. So this is a great opportunity. Let me give you some highlighted findings. And these are high level. We'll not go through the whole thing. So half of our workforce in Charles County goes out to Washington, D.C. or Prince George's County. So that's quite a substantial. Of those commuting, half of them are going to those two locations. The rest of them are going to Northern Virginia, as Jennifer used to go to St. Mary's County, other Maryland counties, Anne Arundel and Calvert. Two reasons why people leave every morning: salary and benefits and employment opportunities. So for many individuals, working in D.C. means you get sort of D.C. salary, whereas maybe working in Charles County or Calvert County, you get Charles County or Calvert County salaries. The other thing is there may not be as many employment opportunities. So if you go to D.C., in Prince George's County, you might have a broader employment opportunities for many individuals who are just starting in their careers. So these are sort of key things that need to be sort of addressed as going forward, is how do you sort of bridge that gap? Because you want to retain employees here, but you also recognize that some people will want to drive to earn some salary. So there's kind of this balancing act of ensuring that basically we provide an adequate salary because we want people to live here, but we're also basically not driving people away because our salaries are too low or there's no employment opportunities. For individuals who go out of communities, out of county communities, you can definitely see that in some of the key areas there are some significant differences in salaries. In professional and scientific services, we're talking about maybe a $6,000 annual difference. Even in healthcare and social assistance, we're seeing some differences in salaries. Most striking is our difference in public administration, which tends to be our federal government, state, and local governments, is about a $30,000 a year, a year salary difference. So these are clearly critical. The other thing too to note from this thing, it's not just high salary occupations that are driving out of the county every morning. It's also more broader based. So it's individuals in areas where traditionally not high salaries, such as in healthcare, that tends to be sort of driving this. So we're not seeing basically, high income households leaving every morning. We're seeing a broad based households leaving every morning. Out of communities sort of dominate some of the many occupations. So looking at management, almost triple. Looking at business and finance operations, almost, quintupled or quadrupled, excuse me. Computer and mathematical occupations, almost, 7 times as much. Healthcare practitioners, double. And then office administrative support almost is double as well. So these are kind of areas where we're seeing individuals who are leaving the county each morning who have valuable skills, that those skills are already here in the county as well, or people are taking those jobs as well. One area where I think we obviously want to be able to address is sort of the education level of those who are out commuters versus those who are inside the county. And we're seeing that basically amongst those that are in the county, they have a slightly lower educational attainment than those who are driving outside to their jobs each and every morning, suggesting that perhaps the reason why they commute to those jobs, cited prior, is the employment opportunities may not exist in the county. If you have those employment opportunities here in the county, we will definitely probably see those numbers begin to sort of decline. So here's the other thing too, is that we're seeing a lot of individuals drive over an hour. So 45% of individuals in finance and insurance drive over an hour. 40% of people in information, which is sort of tends to be sort of news, drive over an hour. 38% drive in professional science drive over an hour. Down to retail trade. So 17% of individuals who are working the retail trade will drive over an hour to get to their employment destination. So again, looking at opportunities to do telecommuting, opportunities to increase retail activity, increase healthcare opportunities, would sort of perhaps convince these individuals. Because remember, as I said before, 20% of individuals who drive over 90 minutes will likely have already thought about leaving their job. So we have a 20% increase in individuals who are driving over 90 minutes leaving the job. Here is a great pool of individuals who are driving over an hour each way to get to work, when they could be living and working here in Charles County and driving 15 minutes to their work. So top industries of respondents: public administration, which is sort of the catch-all for the government, healthcare, professional and scientific services, construction, educational services. Construction typically is, I don't want to say is more nomadic, given sort of the nature of construction. You know, projects prop up all over the place, and so it allows individuals to go all over the place. We did a study for Washington County a couple of years ago, and the out commuting for construction workers was about the same. Occupations, management was the #1 of out commuters. Office administrative support, architects, business, and sales. So these are the individuals that are driving each morning, that are clogging up Route 5 and clogging up Route 301 each morning. You can blame them. So looking at the target industry recommendations, sort of how they fit in. So federal contracting, high-value professional business services. Again, these individuals typically had a security clearance. Most common employment location was Washington, D.C., and these are about 12%. So again, looking at sort of attracting federal contractors who need these types of skilled individuals would present an opportunity to Charles County to perhaps reduce the traffic on Route 5. And these are sort of the detailed industries within public administration industry. So national security and national affairs, justice, administration of economic programs and space research, executive office, public finance, U.S. Air Force, administration of environmental quality, and other government support. So you can sort of see that basically the breakdown within the public administration work. And this is from the American Community Survey. So you can kind of see that these individuals work for the federal government right now, but many times they could be working for a private sector firm, and the largest sector here is national security, administration of economic programs, and space research. Again, opportunities for a private company to come in and perhaps support the federal mission of these agencies. Again, looking at and again, I'm not a market person, but again, developing marketing materials that emphasize our resident qualifications. We have a great number of highly qualified individuals. Individuals who live here, have either grown up here or decided to move here because of the quality of life. So there's strong ties to the area. Very close to D.C. and military installations. I would argue that, depending upon what time you leave in the morning, at 4 a.m. it's pretty close. At 7:30, not so close in time. Low cost of living and doing business in Charles County. And again, perhaps even providing some incentives to relocate to Charles County and employ Charles County residents. Part of it is we want to make sure that they're coming in here and they're going to hire local residents to sort of minimize the traffic. So this is interesting. So 2015 survey, 70% of the respondents from Charles County leave the county for medical care. They actually get in the car and they drive, adding to the traffic on 5 and Route 301 and 4. And again, one of the other things is many people come here to retire, to sort of, enjoy life here. But Maryland Department of Aging projects Charles County to have the fastest growing population aged 60 and over through 2030. a 94% increase. Again, many of those individuals, people say that new 60 is the new 30. Don't believe it. They're still going to get aches and pains. They're still going to require some healthcare assistance from playing tennis like a 30-year-old. They're still going to require assistance from playing handball like a 25-year-old. So there's opportunities here to increase our healthcare presence here in Charles County. And looking at sort of the area here, hospitals is the biggest employer of individuals who are driving out each morning. And then you kind of go down, outpatient care services, office of physicians, office of dentists, child care services, nursing facilities. But definitely you can sort of see that the largest group growing, or the largest that is employment, is the hospital care. And again, if you want to look at the University of Maryland Charles County Regional Medical Center as an opportunity of growth, here it presents itself. And Charles County has facilitated a new telepsych program. Again, these are opportunities to perhaps leverage IT and infrastructure to help sort of facilitate more healthcare services. So facilitate partnerships between College of Southern Maryland and private industry. That again, and as Kelly Schultz, Secretary Schultz has indicated, apprenticeships. We get individuals from high school into apprenticeship programs to support the healthcare industry. That'd be a great opportunity. And again, provide incentives for firms that come in and provide to serve the needs of the aging population. And again, as I said, the telepsych program, and actively recruit IT firms to work with this technology. Again, as Charles County's commitment to put in more fiber optic cable into the ground, it provides more opportunity for individuals to start up businesses based on IT. I have an incubator that is EdTech focused. It's a great opportunity. And again, Charles County has an opportunity to perhaps do some other challenging things with health IT. ACS State, 1/5 of the retail trade is individuals driving out of each morning. Your strategic plan has indicated that there's retail leakage. So individuals are driving out of the county to do their retail shopping, which indicates there's an opportunity here perhaps to increase retail here. And again, this has been a challenging retail environment for bricks and mortar stores. But the majority, so when we talk about sort of the size of the market, the bricks and mortar stores still dominate the online shopping experience in terms of dollar value. So the majority of Americans still do go into bricks and mortar stores to buy many of their goods and services, but we have to be able to leverage it. And many malls have looked at the demise of Sears as an opportunity to perhaps redo their malls to perhaps do more specialized shopping versus sort of having one large anchor tenant. So many malls are looking at this as an opportunity perhaps to reshape the mall experience into much more of an experiential opportunity, as well as provide more specialized stores. So 1/4 of the Charles County commuters have an entrepreneurial inclination. And again, they want to start their own business, and commuters in the education industry are most likely to be entrepreneurial based upon sort of the questions we're asked. They want to start their studies, perhaps, looking at sort of being in the education industry. They can see how to build a better mousetrap. And we see that in our experience in our incubator. We see a lot of firms, former teachers, former educators, sort of doing this type of work, which is a great opportunity and helps enhance the opportunities for the students, as well as increase the educational attainment of many of the students. So again, supporting mixed-use development, I think there's a Waldorf Center to help attract and support a variety of businesses in an easily accessible environment. As I mentioned before, many millennials don't want to drive. We're seeing actually the number of 16-year-olds getting licenses actually decline as a percentage, which means they're less likely to drive. They're all waiting for the self-driving cars so they can sort of tweet, do Candy Crush and do everything else but drive while they're doing it. And I would argue that many individuals who have grown up with a cell phone in their hand and have driven around with their parents shouldn't be driving. I have a niece who spent her formative years in a car driving with my brother. with her eyes glued to her cell phone. So when she had to drive, she had no sense of direction. She had no idea of how to even get out of the neighborhood, because basically when they pull out of the garage, eyes on the phone, and basically it goes. So maybe it's a good thing that the millennials aren't driving for all of us, and we should all hope for these self-driving cars, because I think, we'll all be safer. And again, is indicating improvements in the transportation infrastructure. And again, the idea of a partner or a local incubator with Waldorf Center or Waldorf Station to attract and support a variety of new businesses in an easily accessible environment. Look, we want people hungry with new ideas to come here to Charles County, because those are going to be the catalysts to start new programs, new industries, and new businesses, as well as attract others. So R&D, engineering, and commuting, again, 7,000 residents here in this county are employed. 5,400 commute outside each morning. And again, being proximate to DC, a cost of living, lower cost of living, ease of doing business, plus a wonderful environment. I would like to wake up every morning to look at the Charles County sunset, and then be able to sit on your back porch and watch the Charles County I got it backwards. It's been a long morning. I did see the sun rise this morning from Panera Bread across the way, and I will not see the sunset this evening in Charles County. They don't want economists here after dark. We cause all kinds of trouble. Again, Charles County is a great, wonderful place here. And again, looking at some of the industries, you can sort of see computer systems design and related services as the number one sort of area where individuals are working in this field. Which is sort of important, which again is very relevant to R&D, engineering, computing. And again, most of the other detailed industries fall within the high-value professional and business services. Again, these are great businesses to be in. They tend to be higher salaries and much more funding. So interestingly enough, in Charles County, the legal services is probably one of the only industries that actually makes individuals in that field make more money than they do in the rest of the DC metro area, which is great for lawyers here in Charles County. R&D, engineering, computing, highlight existing supply of highly skilled and highly educated workers demanded by this industry. This is an industry that is driven by, in some cases, security clearances, industries by certifications, and Charles County has them here in the truckloads. And again, looking at mixed-use developments that offer prime locations for businesses moving to the area. Again, how can we make a place easier to commute to, more likely to retain an employer, and then basically the relative cost of doing business between DC and Charles County. And then finally, a plug for the Maryland Workforce Exchange. Again, utilize resources to basically connect commuters to job opportunities in the county. And again, information about skills certifications of job seekers can be added to the workforce page of the Charles County Economic Development website. And again, we use that data oftentimes to do some projections. It is fairly robust, and we appreciate the level of work that the Secretary Schultz and her team has done. We also appreciate the work that Secretary Schultz has done in terms of basically apprenticeships. As a person who works in a university, I always say, look, sometimes universities aren't meant for everybody. Apprenticeships are great programs that provide opportunities. You earn while you learn. And the best news is, I can say this now, is many universities now are offering apprenticeships. Old Dominion is partnering with a maritime engineering firm to provide an engineering degree, but also an an engineering apprenticeship. So those kids in that college can earn up to $22.50 an hour while they're getting the degree, plus the degree is paid for. So a great opportunity. So not only do you graduate, you then also get a job, and you don't graduate with debt. The average debt of students leaving college now is about $30,000. If you go to graduate school, they can go upwards close to $100,000. So these are great opportunities. So I'm very pleased that Charles County is taking very seriously bridging the workforce gap. I'm also very pleased to say that there are some great opportunities here in Charles County. This is a great undiscovered jewel. Those that have discovered it love it and do not want to leave from here. Those that live here want more firms to come in here to provide greater opportunities for their sons and daughters to stay here. But we have a great infrastructure here. We have a great educational system here. We have the University of Southern Maryland here, providing sort of educational programs. There are some great opportunities here. And then with that,
We're going to hold the questions until after the panel. So with that, I'm going to say thank you, Darius, very much. And how about a big hand for Darius Irani? Darius is going to stay here and moderate our panel, our next panel, which will be up in just a minute. I do want to tell you that the workforce study, which is about 136 pages with all of the appendices, is available at our website, meetcharlescounty.com. You can click on downloads and you can download the workforce study and really dig into it for those of you who love data like some of us do. You'll find it very, very interesting reading. And we are looking forward to using that study to enhance our outreach and marketing programs as we move forward. So while the next panel comes up and gets ready for the discussion, I would like to direct your attention once again to the screen. We go out and we talk to businesses, and they tell us they have a challenge finding workers. Then we talk to the public, and the public says there's no jobs in Charles County. On one hand, the public is saying there's no jobs. On the other hand, the employers are saying there's no workers. That's the workforce gap. Employers have frustration with finding workers. Sometimes it has to do with work ethic. Sometimes we do hear that they are looking for people with basic work skills.
We've hired some younger people in the past. They were supposedly at the top of their class, and yet they did not know how to write a letter or put a sentence together.
Resumes coming in that haven't been properly put together with typos to people who simply don't have the skill sets. More and more people are more interested in higher level learning, higher level technology, as opposed to more hands-on. Trying to get our young people interested and involved in these fields is extremely difficult.
I will say for Indian Head in particular, it's very hard to attract younger employees when there's not really a whole lot down here.
And the quality of life is wonderful in this area. It's just a matter of the young workforce that's looking for a lot of things to do.
They want things they can do at lunchtime. They want a place that they can hang out right after work with their coworkers.
I think the mantra used to be location, 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 and I think in a lot of ways it's really education, education, education.
We have really good schools in Charles County, and our schools are doing some really exciting and innovative things to make sure that the youngsters who are getting educated in Charles County are getting the skills they're going to need to succeed and thrive in the workforce.
We need to not just reach children in schools, but we need to be talking to their parents. What's happened is there's a stigma attached to the blue-collar worker. So everyone wants their child to go to college. Not everyone's cut out to go to college. And for those children that are out there who aren't necessarily on an educational path, there's money to be made in this field.
The College of Southern Maryland can help young people get started on their post-secondary education. They can help people find certain careers that may not require a four-year degree.
Businesses really need very specific training initiatives. Now, on the other side of the coin, I feel it's also up to the businesses to make sure they make our local community colleges and local school systems aware of those needs. We have an aging workforce, and a lot of folks are retiring.
This particular industry is dying off, literally.
50% of the people who are in the skilled labor market are 45 or older. There's only so much longer we want to be working. And we need to make sure that we have young people who are coming in who have the skill sets. They say construction is going to grow nearly as fast or in pace with the health industry. We're going to be short in this area 1.6 million workers for jobs by 2022. I mean, we're going to be, screwed if we don't do something. I mean, who's going to do the work?
We're going to talk with three individuals who are going to help give us some information regarding bridging that workforce gap, growing our local talent. I have Ruthie Davis, Director of Regional Workforce and Business Development, Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland, Dr. Kimberly Hill, Superintendent of Charles County Public Schools, and Dr. Maureen Murphy, President of College of Southern Maryland. So I will sort of, you've seen my botched attempt at an analysis of our study, as well as this wonderful video, that really there is a need for workforce and workforce skills. So I will ask Ruthie Davis to maybe comment on her program.
Thank you. Good morning. Happy to be here to talk about workforce development. Workforce development is in my title, but workforce development is done everywhere, and the whole topic and all the speakers and all the panelists today all are involved in workforce development. So workforce development at the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland is one of the council's many divisions. And what we do in our workforce development is administer the public workforce system. A public workforce system definition from the feds, pardon me, I'm going to read it because they did such a good job with it and I'd never do as well. The public workforce system is a network of federal, state, and local offices that function to support economic expansion and develop the talent of our nation's workforce. In order to meet the challenge of the 21st century global economy, the public workforce system works in partnership with employers, educators, and community leaders to foster economic development and high growth opportunities in regional economies. This system exists to help businesses find qualified workers to meet their present and future workforce needs. What we do at the Tri-County Council with the public workforce system is federally funded, and it's been around in one form or another from the feds since the time of the New Deal. It tends to get changed up every decade or two, and the last one of those happened in 2014, passing Congress by a wide, very wide bipartisan majority. It's called the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and basically what it did, and I really support this, and I think it was a good thing for me as a taxpayer and all of us that are concerned with workforce development. It took 5 federal funding streams that have as an outcome getting someone a job, and it forced us to work together with common measures, common outcomes, sharing budgets, et cetera. So it makes a lot of sense to do these things. If I can do the workforce development piece for, let's say, the Department of Social Services, then the Department of Social Services can focus on what they do best, which is getting people, getting their barriers taken care of so they can get back into the workplace. Okay, we are governed by a board of directors, and I want to recognize a few of the board members that are presenters and panelists today. First and foremost, Dr. Maureen Murphy is on our board. Thank you. Marcia Keith, Deputy, where is Marcia? There she is, Deputy Director of Charles County Economic Development. In fact, Marcia heads up one of our standing committees, the one that deals with business engagement. We thank you for that, Marcia. Stacy Cook, where are you, Stacy? University of Maryland Charles Regional Medical Center has been a longtime member of our board, and we really appreciate that. And I also have to give a shout out to our brand new chair as of our September meeting, Michelle Nicholson of Sage Point Senior Living Services. Where are you, Michelle? There she is. So we thank everyone that's on the board, and the board by design is made up of 51% private sector. So we want businesses guiding the strategy work that goes on with the Workforce Development Board. Now, you may have seen Southern Maryland Job Source. That's how we branded the delivery system for the public workforce system in Maryland. So we have currently 4 American Job Centers, soon to be 5, and we also have an American Job Center on wheels that you may see throughout the community for people that can't as easily get to a bricks and mortar American Job Center. We have 2 right here in Waldorf. One is a full service center on Post Office Road, and just kind of across the street next to the MVA, there's a specialized center for youth and young adults. And youth and young adults were another change that came about with the new workforce law. What we used to do was put 70% of our efforts in the public high schools to help the kids, 30% on those who were out of school. What this law did was to switch this. We now can put 70 to 100% of our efforts on kids that are out of school. And the kids that we're talking about, youth and young adults that we're talking about are those ages 16 to 24. We call them opportunity youth. And these are the young people that are not connected to either education or employment. So first we got to find them because they're not working anywhere and they're not going to school. And we need to help them get on one of those two tracks so that they can have a successful career going forward. Okay, who do we work with? Let's see, I told you about the Mobile Career Center. By the way, the Mobile Career Center, I have a fact sheet on that back table near where that gentleman's standing if you want to pick one up with lots of facts and figures, but I just wanted to throw out there about 250 times the Mobile Career Center visited locations in Charles County over the last 3 years and served over 2,500 people. So these are all folks that couldn't get to our American Job Centers. And I think visits to the American Job Center here in Charles County was more around the 35,000 over the past 3 years. The customer of workforce development is the local business and local industry. We need to have a thriving local economy. For the economy to thrive, businesses have to thrive. And for businesses to thrive, they have to have access to a skilled workforce. I mean, that's the whole topic of this day, of this morning. The client of workforce development is the worker. That's the citizen who's in search of better employment, of any employment. They may be unemployed. Citizens prosper when they have jobs with family-sustaining wages, and those jobs are attained when they have the skills they need to serve our local businesses. So for businesses, a couple of things that we offer. And by the way, all of this is free. I mean, I guess your taxpayer dollars have contributed to it, but there are no charges for any of our services to either the participants or the businesses. So for businesses, we have on-the-job training grants, which allows a business to make a new hire and offset the cost of training that new employee. And as you can imagine, this is attractive to smaller businesses, where this training grant may be the one thing that allows them to add that one more staff. We also have, and this is new with the new law, and I love this, we have training grants for incumbent workers. So those of you that are business owners, if you want to upskill your current workforce, we have funds for that. And the idea behind that is upskill your current workforce to make you more competitive. And furthermore, as you upskill and promote the people in your business, then newer job seekers can come back in and fill in behind. So I think that's a great service. And that's also a grant. We do a lot of recruiting. Yvette Turner is our business services representative. Stand up, Yvette. Our business services representative here in Charles County. It's on the fact sheet back there, but she's had hundreds of customized recruitments for local Charles County businesses that resulted in thousands, I would guess, of hires in the recent past. So we do that for you too. And we not only hold the recruitment, but we pre-screen people to make sure that they meet the requirements that this business is advertised in their job position. And labor market data. Any amount of labor market data we're happy to provide to any businesses. For job seekers, it's very basic. We help them access employment and training and support services so they can succeed in the labor market. That takes all forms, from sitting in our resource center and getting assistance with searching for jobs, with posting a resume. We have workshops for interviewing, for updating your resume, for how to market yourself on LinkedIn, any number of those. We do soft skills training. Has anybody heard of soft skills? That's the one thing that we hear over and over from every industry and every company that we talk to. In fact, there's a chart on my little handout over there that shows of the top 10 skill sets needed for jobs currently advertised in Charles County, 9 out of 10 are soft skills. The outlier was inventory management or something like that. So we have our own curriculum for soft skills. Anybody we're going to pay to go through training, we put it in, wrap it up. Okay, I can skip that, I can skip that, I can skip that. In our soft skills training, we make it clear that we have to get along with each other in the workplace. There are now 5 generations in the workplace: traditionalists, baby boomers, X-Geners, millennials, and you may not have heard of this one, the very youngest is Linksters. Linksters, yep. And the data says that by 2019, millennials are going to outnumber baby boomers in the workplace, so get ready. I want to share a very short video with you, a snapshot of what a job interview could look like if the interviewer is a boomer and the interviewee is a millennial.
Amy, it says you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No.
PowerPoint?
No.
Publisher?
Not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter. You know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
You know, Siri tell me this, Siri find me that. We're all good at getting you the answers.
Tell Siri I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand
What don't you understand?
what you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8 like in the morning 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah. That kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pump skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot, but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Why are you so negative? I can sense your hostilities, and right now I am not feeling very safe. I've been here for over 5 minutes, and the only nice thing you have said to me was nice resume, which I typed all night for this meeting with you. You've given me no guidance, no validation, no encouragement, no supervision. Is there an HR director somewhere?
HR director?
Yes, I need to speak to someone. I may have to take off today as a mental health day.
Take today off. Amy, look at me. You don't work here.
Are you firing me?
Okay, yes.
So, wonderful video. So, as we sort of pointed out, there is a huge, a challenge ahead of us, right? So we've got individuals who are retiring. Baby boomers want to leave the workforce. We've got millennials coming in. We also have this, we have shortages in cybersecurity, healthcare, and perhaps to enlighten us on sort of the programs that the schools are providing, I'll turn it over to Dr. Kimberly Hill to maybe provide some insight into sort of some of what's going on in the K through 12, which is the basis for our next generation of workers.
Thank you, Darius. If you don't mind, I'll stay where I am, and I have some slides. What I'd like to do first is to thank Darrell and his team, Marcia, for putting this event together and for including us in the K-12 world. I've made a strong effort to get involved with workforce development in our community, and I hope that that's going to show in the next couple of slides. Going to go very quickly and introduce you to some of our graduates and try to weave in the programs that we offer through their stories. So if we can move to the next slide, I want to introduce you to Melanie Tanner. In the early 2000s, Melanie came to us from Thomas Stone High School and decided to take a half-day program at what was then known as the Votex Center. And she took criminal justice. She wanted to be a park ranger, she thought. Went through this criminal justice program, which is a great partnership that we have with the Charles County Sheriff's Office. And so Melanie went through that program, participated in competitions, and then seamlessly transitioned to the College of Southern Maryland in their AA program in criminal justice. And by then, she became 21 years old and was hired right away as a Charles County Sheriff's Officer. She now, after several other assignments with Charles County Sheriff's Office, to come full circle, is teaching our criminal justice program at North Point High School. So that's Melanie. Next one. Michael Iverson, I want to highlight, he came through our VOTEC Center, or Career and Technology Center, in the early 2000s from Lackey High School. And in his story, I want to highlight our partnership with the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 26. They have been instrumental in the development of our electrical construction program, so much so that we share classroom space during the day. We use it for our students. In the evening, the IBEW Local 26 comes in and uses it for their students. And they also make sure all of our equipment, which is very expensive, and we as taxpayers don't want to have to necessarily finance, the IBEW provides all of that for us. So Michael is now earning 6 figures, working on big projects where he needs security clearances, and at times goes into work areas with armed guards to be able to take care of their electrical needs. Michael married a local girl. They bought a home in Charles County, and they're raising their 2 young sons here. Next slide. Brittany Martin is a more recent graduate from our cosmetology program. Students can come through this cosmetology program, get all of their necessary practical experience in the classroom as well as in local shops. And then at the end of their senior year, as long as they've followed the program, can take their state licensure exam and graduate high school with a state license to practice cosmetology. Brittany now owns her own salon, 2014 graduate. Next slide. Brandon Myers, you may have heard of Meyer's auto business in Waldorf. Brandon has this family business that he knew he wanted to become a part of. He's taking over the family business after having come through our automotive technology program. We have automotive technology at 2 separate sites. One is a 4-year program at North Point High School. The other is a 2-year program at the Steedham Educational Center. Both offer students industry certifications while they are in high school, NATEF as well as ASE certifications. One of our auto tech teachers takes his car to Brandon when he doesn't want to work on it on his own to be repaired. So he has a lot of trust there in Brandon. Next slide, please. Heather Edelen is how we knew her, came through our Academy of Health program and worked over at what was then known as Civista, and got great nursing experience, then became an EMT in our local community, currently enrolled in the nursing program at CSM. Again, another seamless transition from K-12 to higher ed right here in our local community, filling local workforce needs. Next slide. I think there are only 2 more. Will Still also came through the Academy of Health program. And I wanted to give you an idea of the different avenues that once students come through Academy of Health, they can move on to CSM to pursue a nursing degree. In Will's situation, he became very interested in epidemiology through a guest speaker that came in to his classroom at North Point High School. So he completed a master's degree in biohazardous threat agents. Who would want to ever do that? But that's what Will's doing at Georgetown, and now he's in the 3rd year of a PhD program in epidemiology and hopes to work at the Center for Disease Control. Will's a teacher's son, local family, and has come through and been able to move on to a career of his interest. And I think we have one more. Will Nelson, again, an auto tech student. He's currently service manager at Dark Cars in Waldorf. He's earning over $150,000 per year and has come back to help us in what we call the Program Advisory Committee. That's the PAC. So what we count on local businesses to help us with in our K-12 programs, that are CTE focused is join this group called the PAC and help us keep our programs up to date. Not by handing us money, not by handing us equipment, but by saying to us, you know, we don't really do it that way anymore, so we want to have you shift your curriculum. We want to have you shift the way you teach this skill or that skill. So through the input of local businesses, we're able to try to keep our programs current. But I need to tell you, we have a lot of very committed members of our program advisory committee, but we always need more. And there are folks out here in this room as well as in our community who have expertise in areas that we could use some assistance with. So if you're interested in being a part of our program advisory committee, we would love to talk with you, and I can put you in touch with the right people to make sure that our programs are meeting the needs of our local workforce. As far as our career and technology education program, CTE, I think that the speakers in the video hit a nail on the head that we are struggling with, and that is we're producing students who are college or career ready, or both. But most of our parents really are still focused on that college path, college path, college path, and then their child graduates with an average of $30-some thousand of debt. So we need to be able to, and you can help us with this, shift the thinking of the adults in our community that there are excellent paying jobs right here in Charles County that are just begging for skilled workers, and we want to be able to fill every CTE program we have. And I can tell you, our Cisco Networking Academy program, our engineering programs, our biomed programs at all 7 high schools, our Academy of Health programs, our criminal justice programs, those are very highly sought after. The programs where many of you may need workers, such as the construction trades, electrical construction, welding, auto tech, collision repair, we have programs available to teach kids so that when they come out of those programs as a high school graduate, they've completed industry certifications. But I've met many a student who says, my mom didn't want me to go into welding. Well, mom didn't realize that with an AWS certification, you're going to earn about $40 an hour and be able to have a very, very good living and work almost anywhere you want as a welder. So that's a shift that we're working on, and that's a gap that we try to educate parents, but spread that word, please, because the jobs are here. And the programs are here. We just need to get the kids into the programs. So,
Thank you. And I should point out, someone working at the university, I have seen many students come in who really didn't know what they wanted, but were told to be there because mom and dad wanted to be there. You know, the worst thing you can do is not graduate college with 2 or 3 years, because now you're 3 years behind your peers who have left high school and are working and have jobs and their careers lined up. So it's absolutely critical. In this day and age, you know, college is a very expensive proposition. It's going up. There's some great opportunities graduating college. There are even more opportunities, you know, in the skilled trades. Many apprenticeship programs in Europe require, PhDs in engineering in Europe are required to do an apprenticeship before they can get their degree. So apprenticeships shouldn't be viewed upon as, well, that's just a plumber's thing. They are broad-based, from chemists to engineers to nurses. They're really all there. And we need to embrace that as sort of an alternative opportunity for many of our students who can do these great jobs and can earn a great living and, more importantly, live local here in Charles County. So I will ask Dr. Maureen Murphy to comment on sort of the College of Southern Maryland, because it sounds like the College of Southern Maryland is where a lot of kids, you know, who go through these great programs, you know, graduate from and get certifications from. So,
okay, and again, I want to echo what Kim just said, and I want to thank Darrell and Marcia for putting this together. I think this is a great opportunity for us to talk about something that is really important. At the College of Southern Maryland, we believe that we are all about workforce development. All of our learners go to work, all of them. Almost all of them are currently working. So we're looking at the complexity of the situation that you have every single day. And we are trying to make sure that we have the ability to get the knowledge and skills to the people who need it so that they can do the job that you need them to do. So we are on the job. Just an aside, when you're talking about the out-migration of people, 80% of the graduates at the College of Southern Maryland stay in Southern Maryland. We are one of the few rural, exurban areas that's not seeing the out-migration of young people. So you need to think about that because we do have the workforce here for you. So next slide, please. Okay, this is what workforce development is not. And I think everybody in here knows that it's not a straight line. We don't have kids who go through K-12 and then get some other training and then go into the workforce. Maybe it was at one time, but people's lives are pretty complex, and really the nature of work is changing so rapidly, the nature of certifications is changing so rapidly, that this model is, just totally last century. Next slide. I think this is a reality. We're preparing people to solve problems that we don't know for jobs that don't yet exist. And what we have to look at, Ruthie mentioned the soft skills, we have to look at transferable skills. How do we help people learn to solve problems? How do we help people learn to adapt? It's really very interesting. And I look at the people in here, and I know that a lot of you come from IT sector. You guys are light years ahead of the education and training, to the point that all you have to do is look at all of the industry badges that have come up. And I think it's from frustrated employers who didn't get higher ed to catch up fast enough. IBM offers 150 badges. That tells you a lot about the changing nature of work. Our fastest growing program at CSM is cybersecurity. Who heard of it 15 years ago? Now okay, you got it. All right, fine. Most of us didn't. But now there are a dozen disciplines within cybersecurity itself. That's something that is part of our reality when we're looking at workforce development. Keeping up is a challenge. Next slide, please. Okay, this is really what happens. And I think, we have people here on this stage who understand this pipeline because we know that the people that we serve go in and out of these systems. What the Workforce Development Board catches a lot of folks. A lot of our folks are not successful in the workforce, yes, because of soft skills, and also because they don't have the social capital to succeed in what we are asking them to do. It's a complex support network. The other thing we know is even if you do have that, and you do go through and you do get the degrees and certifications that you need, that you're going to have to learn some new ones because they're going to be stale. I was at a conference last week, and there was a speaker who was talking about, we were talking about millennials coming into the workforce. Frankly, I love working with millennials. I think they get a bad rap. Thank you. But one of the frustrating things for people in the millennial generation is that they have better technology at home than they get at work because we're not keeping up. And it's something that I think we have to pay attention to. So whatever it is that we are doing here with our students, we have to be prepared to meet people's needs continually through their lives. Their work life cycle is getting more complex as our society gets more complex. So the next slide, please. Okay, we're going to simplify things. At CSM, we're all about trying to clear the clutter and make things simpler for people to understand. Next one. We really do, in workforce development, we do three things. We have our traditional degrees and certificates. Most folks are aware of those. We have career development, which is for most of you who are looking to upskill your employees, who are looking for, we have open enrollment classes in there for people who are looking to improve themselves, and we have workforce training. And we've just relaunched our new Workforce Center. We have a presence here today, which can help you develop the programs that you need for your employees to do the things that you need them to do. Next, please. We have a division called Continuing Education Workforce Development, which is led by Dr. Dan Mosser. Many of you know Dan. We have representatives of his team here today. And on one side in the green with the small print going down there is a smattering of the career development offerings that we have. Those are all open enrollments. You can go in. If we're running a class, we're happy to have you take them. On the other side are things that we do to support business and industry. Our Workforce Center that I just mentioned. We're also the host of the Small Business Development Center. Most of you know Ellen Flowers Field. She's incredibly good at what she does in supporting small business. MSET, another grant program, which has been with us for a very long time. We've rolled our nonprofit institute. We've got representatives from there here today too into it, because our nonprofits really are about workforce development and supporting them. And one thing I'm sorry that this didn't come up earlier is a really important project. It's a collaboration among the Maryland Association of Community Colleges, the Department of Commerce, and Dollar, and it's called WorkSmart. If there is some sort of training that you need in your business, in your organization, and the College of Southern Maryland doesn't have it, through WorkSmart, we can find it at one of the other 15 community colleges and bring it here and deliver it to you. So we have collaborated among ourselves, all 16 community colleges in the workforce development area, so that you can get the programs and services that you need. Next. We also have traditional academics. Some of our degrees are designed to transfer. Some of them are applied degrees, which are meant to prepare people to go directly into the workforce. Those are some of the general clusters that we have. Frankly, at the College of Southern Maryland, we're pretty darn STEMmy. Nursing is always one of the strongest programs at a community college, but right behind that for us is engineering. I was astonished at how many sections of differential equations we run. And frankly, I think we should. Anybody who's had 3 semesters of calculus and wants more math should get it. So we have our robotics team has gone to the VexU World Competition 5 years in a row. This last year we beat Rutgers, George Mason, and Virginia Tech to get to the world competition. So we're pretty good at that stuff. Next one. So what we've done is really take a look at our assets and our inventory, and we're pulling it together in a way that makes more sense to the people who need our services. Our customers are our students, our learners, whether they're credit, non-credit, adult, traditional age, dual enrollment, it doesn't matter. And our project right now is a Pathways project, and it's demystifying what it is that we offer. What we've done is we've organized our programs, whether they're workforce development programs or traditional degree programs, into these 6 clusters. We're going to be doing a lot with our learners to help them identify which direction they need to go at the front door. Oftentimes, for our traditional degree-seeking students, career counseling comes way too late. And by that time, they've amassed a bunch of credits, and they've changed majors 3 or 4 times. My goal is no more undecided. Within each one of those clusters, yes, there are degree programs, but there's also workforce development opportunities. Some of our students need to get to work right away. And a 6 or 8 month program that gets them a job may be much better for them than 2 years, and the reality is it's more than 2 years for our students because they all work, and 62% of them are part-time. So our job is to get them to where they're going, identify where they're going, and get them there as fast as possible. Our definition of student success is helping students find their paths and finish what they start. So next slide. So really, this is us and how we see ourselves as part of the pipeline. We help people learn, they go to work. We help them retrain, they go to work. We help them retrain, they go to work. Eventually, it keeps going and going until somebody retires. But the reality is we're there for everybody at all stages of their workforce career. So thank you.
So, thank you very much. And now at this point, we'll take some questions from the audience. I know that you've got some burning questions you want to ask these three wonderful panelists.
Hi, I want to know what the requirements to participate in the CTE program are.
So I'll take that one first.
Sure.
It depends upon the program. All 7 high schools have career and technology education programs. If it's biomed or Project Lead the Way engineering, it's open to all students. If it's Teacher Academy of Maryland, which is a preparation program for folks who want to go into education, it's open to all students. Some of the other programs require a certain level of math, because if we were to admit a student into, good examples probably Cisco Networking Academy or electrical construction, if you don't have a good understanding of algebra, we're setting you up to fail. So that's why we offer 4-year programs, 3-year programs, and 2-year programs, so kids can prepare for that. We also do a lot of socialization of these requirements in middle school. Just yesterday and today, every 8th grader in Charles County is taking a field trip to the College of Southern Maryland. And when they get to the College of Southern Maryland, do you get that we have a good partnership here? But
It works real well.
When they get to the College of Southern Maryland, they're broken up into 2 groups. One group that hears a quick presentation about all the different 28 programs we offer. The other group goes into what is like a fair-like environment where they can go to tables and talk to high school students who are currently in each of those programs. So those high school students can say, here's what it's really like. Kids don't want to hear from us. They want to hear from each other. So I apologize that that's not a specific answer for you, but there really isn't a specific answer for all programs.
Okay, we have another question here.
Hi. Coming from industry and having industry partners, with, especially within the education environment, is kind of key to workforce development through the whole education process. As an industry thought leader, I'm regularly given pushback from collegiate academic environments where they want industry thought leaders to come in, assist students, train them, develop curriculum, potentially teach weekend symposiums and conferences. However, many people within my industry, specifically cybersecurity, are approaching that industry with massive amounts of experience, industry certifications, no college diploma on the wall. We are told that we cannot come in and give 4-credit conferences, symposiums. I can't come in and teach your students directly in the classroom, even though I have 2 decades of experience, 29 industry certifications. I can't come teach your students because you lose your accreditation. Is there potentially a thought process within academia to address that situation and recognize the experience of industry thought leaders coming into the classroom directly without losing the accreditation for the collegiate institution?
Yes. You just pinpointed one area in which higher education is woefully behind. And is it an accreditation issue? It's an accreditation issue differently depending on who the regional accreditor is. And to extend your analogy, by what you just said, I couldn't hire Tiger Woods to teach golf. So,
Or Bill Gates to teach Microsoft.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Bill Gates, he said, or Bill Gates to teach Microsoft. In cases like that, and particularly in emerging technologies, I think it's appropriate for a credit class on a case-by-case basis for chief academic officers to write justifications that I think would certainly pass the accreditation muster. On the other hand, emerging things like in technologies are often better in a non-credit environment because it's much more nimble and it changes much more quickly. By the time we get curriculum developed in IT on the credit side, y'all are way down that road. And we're a little bit slow. But indeed, I think on a case-by-case basis. Now, I will tell you this. If you're trying to do this in Virginia, it absolutely will not work if you go across the river. Because Virginia has a different regional accreditor that has very different standards from ours. We're in the Middle States Association, Commission for Higher Education accredits us. Virginia is the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. Different animal. That might help.
In the K-12 world, we established a cybersecurity program at one of our high schools a year and a half ago, and we would love to have your input in our Program Advisory Council.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Oh, thanks. What technology or resources are available for people who homeschool their children through the school system?
We'd love for you to enroll in our programs in our school system. Essentially, we offer programs for students who are enrolled in the public school system.
We, however,
Yes. Yes.
we, however, welcome homeschool students from about age 16 on. And there are things that we can do through a sort of a specialized dual enrollment program with homeschool that is mutually beneficial.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but
Okay.
I want to thank our panelists very much. I want to thank Darius Irani very much. It's been a really good conversation full of information about the workforce development delivery system, but also we have some employers who have some innovative ways of dealing with workforce, and after our break, we're going to have a panel discussion about that. But before we take our break and get to the cookies, I want to direct your attention to the screen, please.
Advanced Vision Systems is an engineering and technical services company, and we offer systems engineering to private industry, local, state, and federal government. We had a task order with the base down here, and at the time they wanted us to hire a journeyman, a senior machinist, and we found a great guy. He did so well, there came a point where they wanted us to hire more. We'll backspace and do it again, it's all lowercase. We had another employee that our customer knew and showed interest in this particular program, but he was not skilled in this area. After talking with the government and this employee, we decided that if we could get him trained, that the government would be happy to have him trained. Penny, the president of the company, she did a lot of research, she and our HR director, and they couldn't find a program that was available. So she did more research and put a program together. She had to actually go before the State Board of Maryland, the Apprenticeship Board, and present her program, and it was approved. We started this young man in the program, and January or February he will have completed the program and we will have our first apprentice.
We'll hear from our employers coming up, as well as Darrell and Taylor and I will update the strategic plan. So we'll take a 8-minute break and enjoy the cookies.